Hello and welcome to Polyplane.com. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the most important number that you're going to learn in all of 3D modeling. This number is 0, 0, 0. It sounds like an unimportant number because of all those zeros, but actually it's very important, and I'm going to tell you why. When you're working in Photoshop or making a drawing, you're working in two dimensions. You're working on an x-axis and a y-axis. These define the dimension of whatever your canvas size is, be it 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 or whatever. The computer needs to know how wide your document is and how tall it is for you to be able to give it commands to tell it where to place pixels. Or if you're drawing on a piece of paper, you need to know how wide it is so that you don't just draw off the page. It doesn't matter how many layers you have, it's all still on two dimensions. In 3D computer modeling, you're introduced to a z-axis. Where these 3 points come together is called 0, 0, 0, formatted x, y, z. The x, y, and z axes are subdivided with units, be it anything as small as a millimeter or a micron, all the way up to a mile or a light year. It doesn't matter. They're all just reference points for you to understand the size and scale of your document. This is also important because it gives you a sense of how to measure out whatever it is you're constructing in 3D space. So in this example, if your x, y, and z equals 5, 5, 4, that means that whatever you're building is 5 units wide on the x-axis, 5 units deep or long on the y-axis, and 4 units tall on the z-axis. It doesn't really matter what the shape is as long as it falls within an x, y, z format. This isn't to say that you'll always build at 0, 0, 0, but it will give you an origin point for everything in your document. So when you copy all of your geometry over into a new document, it's going to use 0, 0, 0 as its reference point. In the Rhino-Work environment, your y-axis and your x-axis in the perspective window are indicated with a red line for the x and a green line for the y. The z-axis isn't visible, but it's there. Now I've added these numbers in to show you an example of how building off of 0, 0, 0 is important. So if I click on a box and I click on 0, I'll instantly have a measurement guide, how wide I would like to make my box, how long I'd like to make my box, and eventually how tall I'd like to make my box. So if I make this box 4 units wide on the X, you can see now it's 4 units wide, and all I'm left to do is define the Y and the Z. So for Y, let's call it 3. Now it's locked to these 2 points. So now all I have to do is define the Z. Now it could be, let's say it's 3.5. You can see that point lines up right between 3 and 4. So it's really good for two things. It's good for giving you a reference point. It's also good for keeping good measurement. To understand this concept further, I've gone ahead and downloaded a screw off the internet. I've placed the screw's tip at 1, 1, 1. That's 1 across on X, 1 across on Y, and 1 up on Z. If I copy this over to our grid here, and I paste it, you can see it lines up perfectly with 1, 1, 1 in our grid here. This is because it's referring back to 0, 0, 0. So hopefully this helps you understand why 0, 0, 0 is important. It's a reference point and a measurement stick for all of your models. Eventually you'll be able to model away from 0, 0, 0 using arbitrary points on whatever it happens to be that you're modeling. But for now it's really important to understand how your world origin or 0, 0, 0 works, because it's really going to define a lot of what we do. Everything from revolving to arrays to all sorts of stuff. Thanks for watching and have a great day.